Welcome to Unpacked, real conversations for diplomatic partners who are ready to unpack more than just boxes. This is the space for the brave questions, the messy middles, and the quiet decision to stop shrinking and start showing up fully. We talk identity, purpose, transitions, and what it really takes to feel at home in a life that's always moving. Because you've always been more than the label, and this is where we say it out loud. Hi, I'm Anna, and I am with my co-host Emma. Hello everyone, and welcome to the episode number 10 of Unpacked. Hi Emma, so lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you very much. It's only been a little while. We kind of go through little phases, don't we, Anna, where we record quite a few in a short space of time, and then we have big gaps. So it's it's been a really nice few weeks actually. I'm just deciding to make a little bit of a change in the sense of I'm doing more of the things that I love, which is really nice. I think after all the busy travel and just getting back and just settling back into routines, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go out for lunch with my friends midweek. Yeah, I'm going to go and sit at the pool and read my favourite book. And I'm this is my problem. I've been waiting for this current book that I've been reading for like a year and a half.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like number 8 in the series, and I've been on edge
hooked.
waiting for this book. So I'm
Yes.
like, I'm fully any moment like breakfast, breaks, lunch. I'm reading this book. So yeah, it feels as though I'm making the most out of doing all the things that I really like at the moment, which is nice. How about yourself?
That's that's so amazing to hear, and I love how our lives are kind of we're so in sync, Emma, because I realized I was working long hours and pretty hard recently. My daughter's here. She's living already this week. And it's like, hey, Ngong, Anna, what's success for you? That's success. This is all so precious and so wonderful. And exactly like just slowing down. Like yesterday, we went out for lunch.
Nice.
And it's just taking also more time for this, okay, what brings me joy? Just follow your bliss because I think uh, like whatever you are after, the summit you're trying to achieve, it's the journey. Like that's taking long time, and that's actually what you remember the most. It's not being on this at this summit, and that's why how to make this journey enjoyable and not lose all your companions
Yeah.
because you're so focused on that goal. Yes, so has been have been doing the same. So by
Wonderful.
the way, guys, today we have a very big and pretty serious topic to discuss, and it came through one of the questions. It was a question of one of my followers, and this person asked, "How do you know when enough is enough?" And so we're just going to share with you our thoughts on how to deal with this question because it's a big, hairy, scary one. And I'm
Yes.
sure if you're asking yourself this question, it's not the first day that it popped up in your head. You probably have been sitting and ruminating on it for quite some time. So Em and I are going to share some steps we think you can take that give you more clarity and an agency
Yeah.
and sense of direction, right, Emma? I think that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and I think the question, like, am I doing the right thing? When is enough? We have these questions before we even embark on going to post.
Oh my
You
God,
know, like
yes.
we have this question straight away. Even if you are so excited about the opportunity of going to a new country, even if you're excited about the possibilities, the adventure, the unknown, I don't think I've met anybody who doesn't have that niggling feeling of is this going to all turn out okay? And ultimately, nobody knows in that first moment. And then if we jump a little bit, um, you've arrived at post and you've had those first few hard times at post, that first few weeks. You question those things all over again, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Then hopefully you settle and you get into a routine, and then hopefully you feel great. But this question can keep cropping up at the next post, and then potentially throughout the whole post to the point where you then think, when is enough enough, and when when do we just want to say, I want to just go home and I just want to have, a settled routine, I want a house, I want to maybe live near family, I want familiarity. When do I want all of those things? And it's hard, isn't it? Because yes, the question can pop up, but knowing that when is the final straw is difficult,
Mm,
because you've said no, I'm going to give it a go so many times along that journey. You don't actually know when is the final straw, because you might have said, oh well, it was like this in the first few weeks, but then it did get better. Or then, oh, and then I'm feeling like this again. But it does get better. So it's kind of like, how many times do you want to go through that cycle before you go, that's it?
exactly. How long do you want to persevere and persist at that thing? Because you kind of don't want to jump out because I don't know, a first obstacle popped up. But exactly when you that sure that yeah, things are clearly not working and you need to have, I don't know, an honest conversation with yourself and then with your partner, and you need to pivot. And I think, am I right? We kind of briefly chatted about this before recording this episode. That sometimes I think you need to first become aware: is this a situational thing? Is it just that particular posting? Maybe it's a small post. Maybe you don't get along with people, and that's why it feels really hard. Maybe it's a hardship place where I don't know, walking in the street is not an option. And you really feel like you are in a fancy prison. Like what exactly is not working for you, which bit of it, it's the lack of personal freedom because maybe it's unsafe, is it because you don't have connection, well, you kind of just don't get along with people, it happens, it does. I mean, we spoke about social dependency and how it works. So I think you just really want to start first understanding, if you've done this before, it's not your first one, you will have a better idea, like, okay, I was fine there. Well, clearly it has something to do with this certain context I am right now. Right, Emma?
Absolutely. And I think
Mhm.
that comparison, because I know people that have done hardship postings and then have really missed the opportunity to work on, focus on their career, for example. And I've encouraged them to then think, well, is it a Singapore? Is it a Hong Kong? Is it somewhere that has a bilateral agreement? Is it somewhere that accepts your professional qualifications? Maybe we try that in the next one. Is it the fact that actually you want to be closer to home? So what's the flight distance? I know for lots of people, even doing one connection is a connection too many. So is it the case of having a direct flight back to home? Is that going to be enough? All of these questions, I think, are really important. And I think it's important to note that the relationships, like you said, are absolutely key here, because I know also people that have done a posting, they've loved it, they've gone back and they thought, oh no, I didn't like it this time. And it's the only difference is
Mm,
because of the people who they are surrounded by, that
yeah,
likelihood that the context hasn't really changed that much. So when we've talked about the relationships, and the relationships you make in those first few months are being key to being settled, I think that really highlights that yes, situation contexts are important, but the relationships are really key. Where are you getting your support in those first few months to make the posting a
exactly.
success?
Yeah. So the first advice is sit down and just be clear with yourself. Like, is it situational? Is it like what's going on at the post that, it's just not working for you? I think you need to be aware which areas are off and exactly. So that would mean it's not the lifestyle per se, it's just that particular posting.
Yes.
It's not working for you, unfortunately. And then you can do something about it. You can not control, you can't control the uncontrollables, but then there are still a lot of things you can't control. And then I would say if you have this clarity, okay, this and this and this and this is I don't know, not really working for me, regardless whether it's now the lifestyle or that particular post, for me it's a signal that some of your needs are not met.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, we have six basic human needs. I won't go into details here, but if some of them are like, I think if more than three are not met, you will not be happy. You just cannot. And the way when I work with my clients, I ask them to fill out, it's called this simple exercise. You can do it on your own. If you're listening to this podcast, you can do it after this. or pause now, or take a piece of paper, a pen, and draw like a wheel, like a pie, like a pizza. And on each slice of a pizza, you can write down, like, my health, my career, my relationship, my, I don't know, finances, anything, like the areas of your life. And then, if on the scale from from 0 to 100%, like, how happy and satisfied are you right now in each area of this, of your life? And you have a clear understanding, once you've done that, what is missing. Let's say if health is only 30%, if relationship is, I don't know, 45, you know why it's such a bumpy ride. Because it's like a wheel, like a tire. If it's flat, you cannot have a good ride. It will be very bumpy. So you could start with that.
Yeah.
Emma, what are your suggestions?
Yeah, well, I do something similar, but it's slightly adapted. So I have what I call, I've talked about a little bit about this, the PERMA H model for wellbeing. We go through all of the sections of PERMA, and one activity that I love to do, and actually I'm going to be putting a resource out there in the next, when I get round to it, in the next few weeks, month, I don't know, which is going to be a free resource, is basically, I think what happens is, for many, many of us, we have our well-being for those 5 sections. We get them from specific things. For example, I might get my positive emotions from going to a specific yoga class with my favourite yoga teacher in my hometown, at my favourite studio. It can be so specific to that point that when I then go to a different country, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't have that specific thing. So I have this comparison, and sometimes we get so we become so tunnel visioned with the specificity of what gives us joy, that when we do the comparison, it becomes really hard. So I really encourage my clients to kind of help themselves get out of that trap, is this thing called chunking up. So if I think about the positive emotions of that specific yoga class, the specific teacher, the specific studio, I think, what was it that I really liked about that? Well, I liked moving my body. I liked being in a quiet space. I liked feeling the sense of energy of everybody in the room doing the same things. Well, can I replicate that in this country? Well, yeah, I can. So for me, I always try and help people get from the specific to the feeling, and then where can we get that feeling in the country? And I think moving, but I don't think you can do that without having that full scale, or that full knowledge of all of the areas of all of those, of what you do in the Wheel of Life or the PERMA H model. Or they're very similar, they're just different. They're different words ultimately. Exactly. But yeah, taking that chunking up, thinking about the broader feelings, and then the next step is, how do I get those feelings in country?
Exactly. So, and it all starts with awareness. And guys, ladies and gents, I think it can be very confronting and not very easy to actually be very honest with yourself. And that's why I think, whether you want to talk through a couple of things, with your dear friends, or you have family, because my point is, we all have blind spots, and normally we're the only ones who cannot see them, and other people spot them so easily. But again, if these are right, Emma, as you pointed out before the episode, if you are talking to your parents or your family or your friends, they're all biased. They all want the best for you, that's for sure, but they're probably not the right people to give you any advices on what to do.
I always say that the people around you are part of the problem, whether that's because you don't feel like you want to let them down, or you feel guilty, or you want to, you don't want to upset them, or you feel like it's confrontational to tell them how you're feeling. Even if you just want to be heard and understood, sometimes that can lead to defensive reactions, or even friends in country. They can be like, if they think that you're doing something different and against the norm, that can make them, it's a mirror, isn't it, that reflects upon them and be like, well, should I be doing this? No, I don't believe that we should do that. And they're just going to give you back all of their insecurities and their thoughts. So even if they obviously don't realize that they're doing it, but it's really important to be aware of that. So having that inner clarity for yourself, I think is ultimately really important, but being able to share that with someone like a coach or a therapist, someone who is objective, who has literally no, they don't want anything, they don't have any end game for you, you know, they're completely objective. Whether you stay, whether you go, it doesn't make any difference to them. I always like to think my two best friends are amazing ladies, that I love them, but they're very different in their personalities. And I need both of them at all times. But if I have a problem and I know that I want a certain response, I will choose to go to one of them and I will get the response that I want. And I think it's very similar for anybody in this situation. Depending on who you decide to speak to, you're going to get a response that you want, and if it's reaffirming or it's going to aggravate you, it's going to come. So really, if you can have one of those best friends, is amazed if I say, I don't need you to be my friend right now. Can we just talk about this objectively? Yeah. I just need to get everything out. She's really good at doing that, but sometimes I don't want that sometimes I don't want that. Sometimes you just want the big hug, you want the compassion,
exactly.
you want the, you're doing everything right. You know, that's great. If you need that comfort, you know, everyone needs that at some point. But it's really to get to the ultimate level of clarity for you to understand your own thoughts and your own feelings and your own behaviour. You need the objective mirror. So if you've got a friend that you can do that, brilliant. And if you don't, it's a coach, therapist, somebody who can be a true mirror.
Exactly. They can be a mirror, they're impartial, they don't have skin in the game, and they want the best for you. And the good thing is they're not the ones who are going to give you the answer. You have them. They just help you to, you know, find those answers.
Yes.
So if you decide to do it on your own, you can. Clearly. There are a few steps you need to take, or you really want to be very honest, have full accountability what's coming up, which means you have to be pretty brave to sit down and do, you know, the inner work to get to this clarity, understanding what needs are not met, what's actually going on, why am I not happy, and exactly, is it situational, is it something bigger than that? And so, Emma, what do you recommend? Where would they start?
So something that's worked for me really well in the past is usually when I'm in this really deflated, things are not going right, everything's not working out for me, I'm, you know, what's the whole point of all of these things? That I'm usually blaming somebody else. So if I'm feeling like that, I'm either blaming my boss. Oh, I hate where I work. I hate that all of these rules that they've put in place. You know, if you think about when you're a teenager, you're like, oh, I don't like my parents. They're making me do this. So it's a pattern that we're used to doing, that when we feel as if everything's out of control, we often blame somebody else. So something that I found really useful, I was advised by an amazing coach. She said, write this person or thing, or, you know, whoever you're blaming, write a letter to them. You're not going to send it to them, obviously, unless you really wanted to. But the purpose isn't about to actually communicate with them. It's just that you're directing all of your thought and your energy to that person or thing. And once you start writing, you can start to feel maybe the anger, the upset, the hurt, the guilt, the shame. And you can start to, as you start to free write, so like really just write and just don't think too deeply about it. Just write whatever comes up. And by the time you've ended that, whenever I've done it, I've always thought, oh, I need to do this now. I've always gained a sense of clarity from it. And whether I have to repeat the process or at something, I've always felt like I've had a different perspective by doing that on my own. So that's something that I would really, really highly recommend. Is really a good place to start when you're feeling like that.
Exactly. I think like putting Words on paper, things, your thoughts on paper is a very, very powerful and therapeutic tool because, when you're just thinking thoughts in your head, and we think like probably 60,000 thoughts a day, most of them are very repetitive.
Hmm.
Um, they're all, constantly jumping from one topic to the next. So when you are writing things down, you have to focus on one thought. You have to put it, you have to write that sentence to the end, and then you go on. So and that's why just this brings so much order and clarity. So you can do just big brain dump. Just sit down and write everything. I don't know, whatever's going on, what you're feeling, because again, your thoughts, it will prevent your thoughts from jumping all
Yeah.
over the place. They will be structured and ordered because you have to write them down.
Yes.
So yes, and writing in a letter, as you say, exactly, you kind of vented all of that.
Hmm.
Whew, and that already should feel more liberating. And it's like this release of, stored energy. And I think what's important to notice here is, whenever you feel negative emotions, we don't like feeling negative emotions. We kind of normally either, I don't know, we soothe ourselves or we distract ourselves in different ways. Maybe it's eating, maybe it's watching, maybe it's scrolling. But every emotion, it's basically a messenger is trying to tell you something. And the longer you bottle them up and say, shush, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to rather go and watch, I don't know, Instagram. What you're doing, you're breeding a monster. I guess,
Yes.
and it's better basically you don't shoot the messenger, you listen to it while it's nice and small and friendly before it turns into something and so destructive and that it just comes and knocks you on your head with because you refuse to listen for all this time. So exactly, uh, listen to the emotions. And what I would also say, kind of need to remember you are not necessarily your emotions, so don't, because it's then easy to be engulfed in them.
Hmm.
So you just want to observe them, and again, maybe writing down. That's what helps. Um, so you want to understand what's going on the inside because clearly maybe the situation, the context, some things are triggering you, making you unhappy, making you feel like you're stuck or you're not sure what your next step is. So to gain this clarity, exactly, talk to a friend, work with a coach or therapist. If you don't want to do those, you can, or as well, you do this inner work to get a better understanding of what's happening.
Hmm.
And then once you have this clarity, what do we do?
Yeah. Just before we move on to
Yeah.
the next bit, I just want to say I've had lots of clients who feel worried about writing these thoughts down on paper, partly because they sometimes then think that it makes it real, or maybe there's a fear around someone finding them. If if you have that fear, do it in a coffee shop, throw it out on the way before you leave. Like just just the process of doing it, you don't either have to read it again. You literally just get it out, then you throw it away, burn it. Do something symbolic that you're letting it go. You really don't need to hold on to those things. But once we have got that inner clarity, I think jumping from having that clarity to communicating that enough's enough can feel quite a big step for many people. So I think between, okay, I know where I am, I know that this isn't right for me, maybe I've understood what I want. And actually understanding what you want is really important, isn't it? Rather than
Oh yeah.
not just what I don't want. But once I know what I want, I know that this isn't enough. Where's this gap in between? You can't just, well, maybe you can, but for many of us, jumping ship and just leaving overnight, we're not going to do that. So, in between, and we've got this gap, it's really about taking the small actions that you can take to make yourself feel good. Because it's very likely if you've been feeling this way, your confidence has been knocked, you don't really know, you may have lost your sense of identity, you don't feel, maybe you feel devalued. So you might even be questioning at this point, well, why do I even deserve to leave? What's going to be left what's there for me when I do leave. So it really is about, okay, I need to feel good and confident so that whenever I go, if I choose to stay, if I choose to go, I feel great. I feel secure in my decision because I know 1,000,000,000,000,000% this was the right thing for me. So, okay, how do I take those steps? Make it as basic as you possibly can. So if it's a fact that you don't feel a sense of achievement or fulfillment, then okay, what's the easiest 3 things I can do every single day to feel that sense of accomplishment? Okay, if that's going for a walk, go doing an exercise class, reading half an hour of your book, whatever it is, you set 3 things, you do it, you commit to it, and then you start to be like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And then we can we can graduate to bigger things. If it's the fact that you're feeling lonely and isolated, okay, well, that's fine. I'm going to probably feel lonely and isolated if I go somewhere else too right now. So what can I do to make some connections? Is this speaking to my friends at home? Is it joining a community, a society, a club where I am? What is there that I can do? So whatever you're feeling once you've got those needs, what are the little things that I can do now so that I can support myself wherever I move to?
Absolutely.
Do you have any other actions, Anna?
No, just I would like to elaborate as well because the thing is, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So if you're right now unhappy and miserable, resisting what's happening, I guarantee you, even if you pack your bag today and move to the other side of the world, most likely you'll be feeling the same way still. So you're kind of not running away from things. And as Emma said, and I fully agree, hey, I now know what I actually want, like, what needs I'm missing. I want to feel this and this and this. How can I give it, create in my life right now? Because the truth is, like, things are just the cover up for the way we want to feel. Like if you think about that, money, it's something that it's totally made up, right? But just because we know if you have it, it gives us this feeling of safety and freedom for most people. That's why. Just a quick demonstration. Let's say if you had $500 million in your bank, and due to a scam you lost almost all of it, and you wake up one day and it's only 500,000, versus to someone who had, I don't know, 30,000 in the bank, won a lottery, wakes up 500,000. Who is happy? It's not the money, or it's not the amount, it's not what you think that's going to fix all those problems. It's the feeling you want. And that's why if you're missing this feeling of being fulfilled and accomplished, hey, what can you do right now to start feeling this way? Exactly. You show up, you do certain things, certain way that, hey, this is accomplishment because I kept my word to myself. And the same with work, excuse me, or other things. So if you feel you are, yes, devalued and maybe not appreciated, how about you start appreciating yourself a bit more?
Yeah.
Right? Because we want other people to give things to us, but they cannot until we give it to ourselves. If you want love, hey, am I loving myself? If I want to be respected, do I respect myself? Literally, the world cannot give you what you don't give to yourself.
100%. And do you know what? It's something. Lots of people have heard of gratitude diaries, but I encourage all of my clients. When I've worked with my clients, we really figure out what these needs are that are missing or were not quite met, and we decide, or they decide, what is it the thing that I'm looking for. So I always change it. So I don't necessarily always advise them to do a gratitude diary. I ask them to do like a pride diary, for example. Where have I made myself proud today? And changing that those words and that vocabulary means already. I can't remember whether you talked about the reticular activation system last time. Yeah.
So I think in one of the episodes,
in one of them, I was like, I'm pretty sure Anna mentions, but because of your reticular activation system, and then that you're going to do this pride diary, joy diary, gratitude diary, value diary, health diary, anything that you're going to focus on, you will start to focus. And I remember when I started my all of my self-development work was way before I became a accompanying partner, whatever you want to call me. When I was in Dubai, and I was feeling really very, very lost, and I started, learning about manifestation, and so I started a gratitude diary, and I genuinely, that was the first thing I knew, but it's before I did all my training. It was one thing that I was like, yeah, I did it every single day, my gratitude diary, for about 2 years. I still have them all, and I just. It honestly, it changed my entire perspective from somebody who, I wouldn't say I was pessimistic, but felt very closed in, I would say. It really opened up my entire world. And yeah, just doing that alone changed my entire life. Everything got so much better if I started doing that, which it sounds crazy, but it's
No,
true.
but that's true because you cannot feel grateful and miserable and unhappy and like a victim at the same time. It's impossible. And that's why gratitude. And I think when we kind of in a well, duckish place, we tend to have a tunnel vision. We
Yes.
see those big things that are not working. But if you start doing this, gratitude diary, there's so many things you actually like. Life is really, really good.
Yeah.
Like you're so blessed wherever you are. Like if you're listening to us, you are blessed.
Yeah.
And there's so many things to be grateful for. And exactly it gets you out of this negative, loop and the spiral. There was something else I wanted to say. But yes, gratitude. And oh yes, exactly. I love that when you said not necessarily the gratitude diary, but my values or wins or
Yeah.
however you want to call it. And you are the only person who knows, okay, this is actually what my soul craves.
Yeah.
Like, and I think what that's actually the post I was writing today before jumping on this call. So I think there is a lot of power and momentum because if I'm here and there's not much progress and I'm not quite sure, I just know it's probably like it's enough and it's not working. And kind of it's really like you are a big multi-ton heavy Boeing and you're just stalling in this on the what is it on the runway,
Mm-hmm.
because the hardest part for everything is to take off,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just lifting this
Yes.
thing in the air takes a lot of effort, energy, fuel. Once it's cruising altitude, you put on autopilot, you go and eat your chips, you're fine. But this taking off, and that's why to get, you need this momentum, you need speed, and you achieve it only by having little wins.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it starts working. It's like this compounding back. Hey, I can do that. It's working, and that's why okay, yeah, yes, I like that. Having a little my little win diary, for
Yeah.
gratitude or do everything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I mean,
you'll be fine.
even things like I just think like I want to say relationship, but I really mean like friendship or connection. Really, if anything, I could, even if I didn't see any friends or didn't speak to anybody in the day, I could say that I've said hi to somebody because I'll go downstairs and I'll speak to a gardener, you know? So even noticing that is a connection is so powerful. So
Exactly,
I think
exactly.
it's really important. And you're like 1,000,000% right. All of these things are compounding. I'm a lover of compound, and compound interest is always a good thing. Um, but if you see that when we have that compound effect, I was actually speaking to somebody the other day. It was one of my tutees actually, and I said, when I was in my early 20s, I thought I'd never speak in front of anyone. I always at school. I'd never put my hand up. I would never. I'd never do anything. Someone spoke to me, I'd look up to my mum and hope that she would answer for me. I would never speak anything. And when I told my mum and dad I was going to become a teacher, they were like, "Are you sure? You're gonna have to
Who's going to do the
speak.
talking?
Yeah, you're gonna have to speak to front of people." So then I was like, "Oh no, I can do it. I can do it." And then I did it. And then I created a new rule. Oh, I only speak in front of teenagers.
Ah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's my safety net. And then all of a sudden I'm head of department and I'm like, okay, I need now to motivate my team. And then school wanted me to train the other teachers in the school. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got to speak in front of other people. Like, whew, how does that work? And then I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then next minute I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start doing, my yoga teaching training, and I'm gonna start training people, and that was brilliant. And then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna put myself on Instagram, and I'm gonna have to show my face on Instagram, and that was a really big thing. And then I did that, and then look, here we are with the podcast, and I just like the journey that it takes, all of these things that we're talking about. Please take the pressure off yourself that these are overnight fixes.
Exactly.
I am so not here for quick fixes, and anyone who tells you that they have a magic pill and you're going to feel incredible by the morning, it's all a lie. That this is long-term change. It's long-term change, and it has to be sustainable. It has to be joyful, and every journey, every step you take, however minute, please celebrate it, because as you start to build up that confidence, the momentum, the compound effect, it really, really does build up. It's magical. So just trust in yourself, and you can do it.
Exactly. You can do it. And that was a lovely, perfect, wonderful demonstration of the momentum, the momentum cycle. That's how it works. Exactly. And you don't expect to be, I don't know, giving the next text talk if you cannot answer, someone's question.
Yes.
That's the gap is too large. You can
Yes.
just there's no momentum. You cannot cover it in just, I don't know, in one day. And the same, everything we've discussed here today, it's not like, okay, right, everyone, off you go. And by Monday, you have it all worked out. No, it's a process. So exactly, pressure off as long as you are showing up and putting one foot in front of the other every day. And I think that's kind of the end of our mini series on dependency, right, Emma?
Yes.
That's how we thought about this episode. And I think we're jumping into a new topic. Do you want to tell everyone what it's going to be?
So, in terms of, what is next for people, if they've decided that this is done, it's really about those relationships that come next. So the communication with your partner, which we haven't touched upon today, communication with friends, family, navigating family dynamics, all of those are really important, whether that's you deciding that you're going to stay in the country, or how you navigate life outside, inside. There are so many different options. So our next mini series are going to be all about relationships, connections, and nurturing all of those wonderful people around you that hopefully also make you feel great too.
Exactly. So we'll be talking about family dynamic, but also, you and your partner, you as a parent, you as a member of the community. And if you have any particular questions, or you want us to elaborate a bit more on certain aspects of this big and important topic, please share with us, right? You can reach out. Emma, tell everyone how to find you.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram at the Zesty Life, and my email's also in the show notes. Anna is at Not Just a Spouse on Instagram. She's got a website, and everything's in the show notes anyway.
Yes.
We also have a link in the show notes too, which is an anonymous link. So if you want to add your questions, your thoughts, any feedback, feel free. If you don't want to get in touch with us directly, it's there, and it's perfect. So even things like this question that came up today, it's been so valuable, and I hope you found it valuable too. And that came from the community that listens. So thank you very much. And please do all of the amazing things that you currently do. Rate, subscribe, tell a friend. It's really, really wonderful. And as always, Anna, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise, Emma. Have a lovely week, everyone.
Have a great day. Bye. Bye.